Here we are back in Photoshop, and we're going to take a quick look at just our tools here for making selections. I'm going to start by zooming in. I opened this picture, and I'm also going to open a new picture, or create a new document, I should say, and I'm just going 5.5 by 8.5. This is just some kind of random size. I have changed to inches. My resolution, I'm changing to 133 pixels per inch. I'm using RGB color, and those are the basic ones that we always want to make sure we're taking a look at. I'm going to hit create, and here's my new untitled document. We're going to use that in just a second. You can see I have the two tabs open. So there's my untitled, and I can switch over to my image that I got from the internet. I did this search, and it's a large image, so that's good. I'm going to focus on selecting the guy, and let's see, that looks like a decent space to zoom in. There are several ways we can make selections. So there are 3 basic tools, and underneath each of those tools there are additional tools. So we have that flyout menu, if you recall, just right there. If I click and hold on it, I'm going to see the other selection tools. So your rectangular marquee tool, elliptical marquee tool, those are just basic. If I want to make this selection of this guy right here, I can go then and take my move tool, and then I can click and drag to move that selection. So I've basically cut out those pixels. It's like taking a pair of scissors and cutting it out. What you need to know then is I'm going to take this, and to get it into my other image, I'm going to hover over that other tab and then move my mouse down, release my mouse click, and it's dropping the image into my new document. So that's a basic image selection that we can do. I just did an undo. I'm going to undo that again. Our second selection tool that we can focus on using is the lasso tool set. So if I click and hold on the lasso tool, I've got the plain one, a polygonal, and then also a magnetic lasso tool. The plain lasso tool, and this is what I had when I started 26 years ago or so, you had to click and drag and be so careful to make your selection, and it was not easy, right? So you just kind of can go around and you can make whatever you want your selection to be. I use this nowadays just to refine a selection if I need to add or subtract stuff, and I'll get to that later. But again, I can just take, to put this in my other document, I've switched tools to my move tool, hover, and then bring it down and drop it in. So now I've got an extra arm there if I need it. So that was my second tool. The polygonal lasso tool comes in handy if you were selecting something that had a lot of straight lines. This isn't going to be great for this, but I just single click to start. I can go to the next kind of spot, and so I'm just moving along and single clicking when I want to change direction. It's going to end up being like I took a pair of scissors and I didn't try to round things out at all. So I'll just go back around. I don't know where it's at, so I'm going to double click, and that's going to allow me to close the shape. So I take, and I can again click, hover over the new document, drop down, and then there's that portion that I have brought in. So there are times that you'll want to use that polygonal lasso tool, but this isn't really one of them. So I'm going to choose to deselect here, and that's in the select menu. Deselect, or Command D, to get rid of that selection. The last of our lasso tools is called the magnetic lasso tool. And in my opinion, this is the best tool to make a selection, especially when you have a background that is contrasting like this. You just got a single click to start it, and then I'm dragging my mouse kind of close along the edge of the image, and it does a pretty good job. I'm not having to be super careful. The if it does that little, I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll try and zoom in here. If it kind of dips where you don't want it to go, you can single click to kind of get around it. But you always just want to go real slow around the image. It's differentiating between the pixel colors. So let me zoom out here. But this one does a really nice job. I'm going to kind of zip across and continue up. And I'm not going to bother going around the fingers right now, just so you guys can get the idea. But it's differentiating between the pixels, and it does a pretty good job of getting nice and close to your selection. That's kind of messy there, I guess. But I can use another tool to go back and bring that selection in. So I'll cover that in just a second here. So like I said, the magnetic lasso tool is a really good tool to use to make most selections if you have pixels with different colors. All right, so I'm going to go and get that move tool, click in the middle of the image, go back up to the new document, drop it, and then go back to my other original artwork. I'm going to deselect. So I go to select menu and choose deselect. And then we're going to take a look at this set of tools. The first one is the magic wand tool. And then the second one is the quick selection tool. There's also an object selection tool, which I haven't used that much. I've heard people really like that, so that would probably be one that we want to explore. But the magic wand tool is going to work by just simply, I'm going to do a little click and drag. Phew, that took all of it. So I'm going to deselect. Let's see what's going on. Oh, I got a big old average up here. I'm going to go back to a 3.3 average and see if that does, yeah, that does better. So I can just kind of click in multiple places, and it's going to select the pixels, a pixel range of colors. And you can see that with the tolerance here. I can add to this selection, and again, I'll go back to that in just a minute. I'm not a big fan of the magic wand, but some people are. The quick select tool is a combination of magnetic lasso and the magic wand tool. And what's nice about it is when you click and drag over an area, it's going to extend those pixels. So you saw how it just snapped. These were all white or close enough to it that it knew that I wanted to select those. So if you go real slow, where'd my mouse go? I can keep adding to my selection. Again, I'm going to go up, get my move tool, click in the middle of my image, hover over the tab, and then drop it down. So I got a whole bunch of parts of this dude. Deselect, so Command D. You'll notice there's kind of a repetition to the pattern, and I'm doing that on purpose for you so that you can get used to the idea that you're going to make a selection, we're going to take it into a new document, and this is where we end up doing our composition. We never do compositions in existing images because we always want to keep those original and intact. So then that last one, the object selection tool, I have no idea how this works. So I don't know, I'm going to do a click and drag, and it's going to, oh, it says, hey, I want to select that part of the shirt. So let's see what happens if I do a click and drag way out here. Ooh, that's pretty slick. That really got in there and did a nice job of differentiating, and that was pretty fast. So that's a newer tool in the arsenal in Photoshop, and I may be using that one a little more often. All right, so those are all ways that we can make selections. I'm going to undo here and bring him back. That tool really did a nice job. But again, if you have a background that's really busy with an image, you're going to have a hard time making that selection. Now, let's say there are areas that I need to go in and clean up. For instance, in his hand here. Right, I kind of got some, like a little bit of extra blue here that's showing. Well, I want to subtract that out of the image. So I am, in fact, going to switch and go back to the lasso tool. And these tools up here on the top allow us to use different selection tools together and add to a selection, subtract, and then this last one is like a difference. I never use this one, and if you find a use for it, please let me know. That's cool. At any rate, I'm going to go and subtract this little blue portion. So I'm starting outside of the image, and I'm going to click and just go right along inside and then back out to clean that up. Now this isn't the greatest example here, but you can see that it is a better selection now. That object selection did a really good job. So let's take a look at his ear, and let's say it had missed all of that, right? So, well, we need to have that in there. I can go to the Add tool, and I could choose any one of these to try to add to that selection. I'm going to go and use the Quick Selection tool, and this one switches to the brush with the symbol to it, and I'm going to go and just kind of add that to it. So there are many ways, many combinations of the tools, but these tools up here on your options is going to allow you to go back in and clean up and make a perfect selection. So definitely know that you are going to be using these in the very near future, and you are going to be using these tools as well.